So you have 1,000 friends on social media, but how many would you actually call if you really need help? And how many would you just call if you needed someone to talk to? I gave you a thought pause, right? Welcome to the Mystical Voices podcast with me, Wise One NK Passport. And today we're going to be dealing with a topic called The Society Isn't Social. And our tagline is the Ghetto Rehab. So to start with, I just want to define what a society is, because we cannot go on into dealing with what the actual problem is minus giving you or pointing out where the problem is. We cannot give you medication minus telling you what kind of disease you're suffering from. So what is a society? A society is defined as a structured community of individuals that share common beliefs, values, and traditions. Now, there's a very famous sociologist by the name Max Weber, who divided the society into what he called stratas, and this was called the social stratification. So in the social stratification, we have people that come or fall into the stages of the upper class, the middle class, and the lower class. So the upper class, this comprises of people who are the elite, and then business owners. This deals with politicians, this deals with business tycoons and investors that control most of Zambia's wealth. Then we have the middle class. In the middle class, this is where we have civil servants, small business owners, and people that are earning like a little bit stable income, but they are also struggling with economic fluctuations. But then we have the lower class. In the lower class, this is where we find general workers, this is where we find marketeers, this is where we find street vendors, and this is where we find the so-called poor, people that do not have a job, they do not have anything to do, and they are struggling with daily wages. So with that being told, I'm here to tell you that the society is not actually what you think it is. The society is actually your state of mind. So we are built to suit into a certain community, and our minds are pioneered to be in that community, and then we think as that community. So what we think is actually what is entitled to us as the society. With this being said, now I want you to understand that we've divided the society into three stratas, which is the first class, or maybe we say the upper class, the middle class, and the lower class. So now, most of us, I'm going to be dealing with the lower class and the middle class, because the elite already have this information that I'm giving out to you. And some of us have this information, but because our minds are still connected to a certain society or a certain thought, we are still feeling unable to fulfill our dreams or to fulfill what our mind is actually telling us. The Bible says in the book of Proverbs, chapter number 23, verse 7, says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." So what you think is actually the outcome of your society. Now, some of us have been privileged to grow in a ghetto. Like we were raised in the ghetto, we grew up from the ghetto, and we had time to observe what is really happening in the ghetto. Now, one thing that you find that happens in the ghetto is this. So we grew up knowing that people resolve conflicts or resolve differences using violence. We saw parents fighting over misunderstandings. We saw marketeers fighting and exchanging words just to have a place where to sell on. And we've seen our brothers, we've seen our sisters being killed just because they wanted to bring something to their family, a certain name, or maybe they wanted to offer food on the table. Now, what you understand is that the difference between those that were raised in a ghetto and those that are raised in a more, well-to-do families or community, the only difference is the state of the mind. Let me give you an example. We have a ghetto here in Lusaka that is called Chibolia. But if we can remove those people from there and take them to maybe Ibex Hills, or maybe we take them to Chalala, we take them to any place that you know is not a ghetto, and we get those people from those urban places and bring them into the ghetto will be changed to be an urban place. But that urban place we know will be a ghetto. Why? It's because we are not changing the environment, but we are changing the people and the mindset that they have. So why are we saying that the society isn't actually social? It is because it is our minds that have not been connected to the reality. We build systems that deprive us of the reality. So we have been brought up to know that just because we come out of the ghetto, just because we are young ones, we are weaklings. That's what we've been taught. So I'm going to give you a story that is going to illustrate everything that we've talked about right now. All right, so this story is of an eagle that grew up being a chicken. So there was a mother eagle that laid up its eggs, and then one of the eggs fell off the nest and entered into a chicken's nest. So a chicken raised these, chicks, and then it, mothered them, not knowing that one of them was an eagle. So when an eagle grew up among chickens, it had a mindset of chickens, whilst it was an eagle. It grew up eating maize grain. It grew up picking up pebbles because it thought it was a chicken. So if at all danger came, and then the chicken, like they jump around, this eagle would jump and discover that its level of jumping, the height that it's jumping on, is as equal as, a bird that flies. But every time it comes down, the mother hen would talk to the birds and tell them, this is not how we jump. You jump too high. This is not how you're supposed to jump as a chicken. And it grew up knowing that it was a chicken all its life, and it died as a chicken. Why? Because it never thought of life outside of it. Some of us are also in the same community where we are told that we are poor. We are told we can't do anything. We are told that we can never have an education. We are told that because we never had privilege to be in school, we can never be great. And we've conformed to that norm. So we've conformed to that norm and grew up thinking that is how we're supposed to be. Now, give this a thought. If there was a chicken that grew up among eagles, don't you think that chicken would have learned to soar high? It would have learned to overcome storms. It would have learned to fly above like an eagle. So if this was a chicken that was raised by a mother eagle, it would have been taught all the possible ways to fly. But because this is an eagle that was taught by a chicken, it understood that its whole life it's supposed to be on the ground. It is never supposed to fly high. It is never supposed to be, in the skies, but it is supposed to be on the ground. So this was a predator that grew up knowing it's a vegan. It's supposed to be, eating vegetables, a vegetarian type of animals, just common like any other bird. But this was a bird that was so mighty, but it could not fly because it was taught in its mind as a chicken. Sometimes we're raised in a community where they tell us we are different from them. They tell us we cannot fit in that community. You're not part of us. You're not part of this community. And those words break us. But don't you think maybe that can be a word for you to tell you that you are not like where you're coming from, and you are not what people think you are? So that's a heads up that is telling you to open up and be what God has intended you to be. It is nice being with you right here at the Mystical Voices podcast with me, Wiseman and Pasco, and I'm looking forward to see you next time. Stay tuned.